Diet culture has us believing the happy is at the skinny, lose the weight and the happy is there. I ended up doing the opposite. I stopped chasing the skinny and started chasing the joy. And the weight came off anyway. Not because I was chasing it, because I was creating the heart singing joy. And then the opposite happened, you guys. I started to have less joy and heart sing in my life, and the weight started coming back on. So it became a mission at that point to create this life I love again. And I've stepped into it. And in that process, surprise, the weight is coming back off again. And it's not coming off because I chased that. It wasn't a new diet. It was because I chased how do I create this life that I love living. And I'm still in it, you guys. I feel like we're always in it. Like where is the destination when you're on something so big as creating the life of your dreams or creating your healthiest and highest self? I feel like it's an ongoing journey. If you're new here, I'm Addie. I am a life coach, meditation, yoga instructor, but really why you want to hang out is, first of all, you never know what I'm going to say. That's always a good time. But also, I've lost 120 pounds, regain, and I'm losing again live here with you. And it's something I've done from the beginning, sharing in the moment, because I don't want to be that guru on the mountaintop telling you how I went through all the messy middle, because it never looks like it does when you're on the mountain. You know what I'm saying, you guys? When you're in it, it's a different story and it's uncomfortable. It's full of joy and heart sing. And it's also full of, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? Right? So let's go. Here is my promise to you guys. Every single episode of this podcast is for you to have one small little action you can take, one little thing of inspiration that you can go and put into your life. You don't need more information, right? God knows you got enough of that. How do we take this inspiration and put it into one small little step in your life? And creating my life of joy and heart sing looks like that every single day. Waking up in a ball of like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? And finishing my morning ritual, I ended up creating and being like, oh, let's go light this world up. Right. And so, how do we move from that place every single day and understanding our bodies and these emotions and what they're going through to set you up to experience joy, even when joy can feel impossible? As I had lost the 120 pounds the first time, not a stone's throw from where I'm at right now. Actually, I'm visiting my daughter in Phoenix, and she is living right down the street from where it all happened, where I had my whole spiritual awakening, like weight loss seeking journey, because I too was chasing the skinny. It was the one thing in my life that I didn't have together, that I thought if I could just do this thing, then happy must be there, because I was like in this, I call it my 300-pound ball of misery. I set off on my little quest to find the weight loss again. And on that journey, I uncovered meditation, life coaching, like all these things that cracked me open on a different level. And I started to flip the script as I created Slayer, my alter ego, which was fun, right? Which put me in this different space of creation, this third party place to observe myself and create from. But also, it was fun. It brought a little joy in my life as I was on the weight loss quest. All these little things that I share with you guys, you just never really know what is going to be the one thing that is going to be the click for you. All of a sudden, you hear it one different way and you're like, oh, that changes everything, right? And we call this a paradigm shift or a game changer. This is one of those game changers, what I'm sharing here with you today, creating rituals and joy in our habits and how we show up for ourselves right now, not when. It's not at the skinny. It's not at the millions. It's not at that place that is the destination you're going. It's while. And I think we hear this all the time, enjoy the journey. And you're like, yeah, that's so cliche. That's fucking great. But how do I enjoy the journey when it feels fucking hard? I've been teaching habits, coaching habits for about 8 years, implementing them in my own life. And when I first mapped out my very first habit stacking I was teaching, that's like back in the day. My God, you guys, I could tell every habit I added equaled another 20 pounds lost. I could literally lay that out on a timeline. That first year, I lost 80 pounds, layering those habits in, stepping away from it being hard, stepping away from perfect and letting it be easy. No longer did I have to be this hyper-focused athlete that was out there swimming 5,000 laps. I could just go walk 5 minutes. And somehow giving myself that permission to just letting it be easy. How could I make it fun? How could I make it joyful? Shifted everything. And then it became this thing like helping people make magic spaces. This is part of you thinking about your ritual, right? If you're going to take one thing away today, think about what change you want in your life. Is it your morning routine? Is it your sleep routine? Maybe it's that transition time when you get home from work. And I found the missing piece this year, you guys, as I've been coaching because I've been helping people through these transition periods for a long time. And it was always like, how do you make yourself go do the thing when you're moving from one phase to another? And the answer is when your body is in that red alert, when you're in stress mode, which we all have chronic stress, we're just carrying it. So you have this chronic stress. So how do you move through and create these habits that bring you joy? My morning routine right now that I had created during that time overwhelms people. But I want you to know that, like, I didn't start out with 20 habits in the morning. No, I started out like instead of snoozing my alarm and going to work, that 300 ball of misery corporate Addy, instead of doing that, I became the person that got up and sat and meditated. And I bribed myself. No shame in bribing yourself, you guys. And this is the thing people miss most because in that bribe, there is some joy, whether it's that quick joy from your phone, it's the coffee hit, whatever it is, like that is so key to building a habit. Like giving your brain a little bit of that juice or something like you just love so much. So when you look at setting up this day, like for example, mine became I set the timer on the coffee and I could smell the coffee as I'm waking up. Oh, yeah, I smell the coffee. Let's go. And I'd get up and I'd be like, okay, but before the coffee, you're going to meditate for 20 minutes. You just have to sit there for 20 minutes. I literally would have to talk myself into it. Then that coffee became the reward. I added in morning pages later. I just kept layering these things using habit stacking. Like you guys know, I'm a huge James Clear fan. And I use a lot of his principles through things I teach and help other people put them in their lives in a way that makes sense for you because we're all so friggin' different. What brings me joy does not necessarily bring you joy. So it was through this, building this morning routine that I loved so much. And you hear this all the time from the gurus. Like, I can't tell you how many women I get on coaching call with, and they're like, well, all the gurus say I need a morning routine. And then I find myself sitting here saying it. And you know why? Because you get yourself before the rest of the world gets you. It's like you getting your shit together. If you're one of these people that really struggles to put themselves first, you can think of it as doing the world a public service. Because the more time you spend on your heart set, mindset, soul set, the greater it is the energy we put in the world. Even this morning, I wanted to skip my morning routine. I wanted to just come straight here and start working because I'm really excited about what I'm creating right now. But I made myself go sit down over here and do my morning pages and do my full Me First Guide plan. And this is, you guys, I'm holding up my planner on YouTube if you guys are seeing it, but this is like 20 habits. This reminds me what gets my head out of my ass every day. Like, I just love that so much. Now I can talk myself into it. However, when I first started, it was this whole ritual. Right. And so as I got thinking, because I'm doing a habits and ritual workshop this weekend, come join us. Come on in, you guys. But so I'm doing one this weekend. And I was like, I'm kind of sick of doing it the same old way. And this is where all my genius little brain babies come out, right? And I was like, well, I like the witchy woo stuff. I'm like, this is just a ritual. Habits stacks are rituals. Like, how can we make this such a fun ritual? Because a lot of the women here, a lot of you guys like Oracle deck cards, or you start to get curious about it, right? For me, an Oracle deck helps with self-reflection. Just like this morning, I got a Grand Symphony card. And this card is beautiful, first of all. This is Colette Baron Reed's deck. In the book, she was talking about how I'm part of this whole greater symphony. When I can see myself as part of this bigger orchestra, it's not about me, it's about the we, right? It's about all of us and how I play my little part in the orchestra, which my part is to come here and give you one little inspiration for the day, right? And that just like, oh, that feels so good. And this is the second day in a row I got a card like this. Yesterday, I got Birds of a Feather. which is all like doing it together and in community. And the women in the group are just mirroring that back to me about how much more valuable this is doing it together and being on the ride together. And even through, we have a woman in the group right now who she calls it, she's just seeping, even through the seeping, right? Because it's not always the joy. Even when you're in that life you've created that you're like, oh my God, this is so great. It's not always the joy when you're there. The happy isn't at the skinny. Literally, I got there and I was like, wait a second. It's just like when I got the beach house. I was living on the fucking ocean and I was like, wait a second. This was my vision board. Like, why am I still in a ball of misery 80% of the time? What's going on here? Hello, universe, moving me to another direction, because I'm a growth seeking being and I'm like moving toward something greater always. And in that, you're going to be in the cocoon, like the little caterpillar, uncomfortable in there. So there's bits and pieces of that as we're building rituals and routines that really light us up. I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, if I was me now at that beach house, I'd be out on that cabana every morning and I would dabble in it. I remember this is me circa before the ball of misery, you guys. And my job was really, really stressful. I had like 100 employees. We like did this complete renovation of this property. It was a big responsibility and my budgets were jacked. Anyhow, I was stressed. And I remember I would go out there some mornings and journal, but I didn't know, like, how do you even journal? I'd try to write a gratitude list. Like it didn't stick, you know? So why don't the things stick? And this is the part that I want to share with you guys because I feel like I really unlocked that. And it's what I do, like help people make things stick that they want to stick. First of all, you have to determine, is that what I really like? Like back then, I didn't really have a vision. I knew I liked to look at the ocean, but I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted a morning to look like, what I wanted my life to look like even. I didn't spend time thinking about that. I spent time thinking about corporate America. About what kind of money my property was making, how my employees were doing. I didn't wake up and say, how's Addie doing? What does Addie want today? What can I create in the world today that's going to light myself up? I didn't wake up and ask those things. I woke up thinking about all the things I had to do in the day. And I look back and I have to remind myself of that because I feel like I just can't imagine being that person that's not thinking of myself first now. And for so long, that was not the case. And it felt selfish to do that. I didn't know what freedom and how much greater I would be to the world and everyone around me, really creating that time for myself. So that's my little plug for the morning. I mean, take with it what you will. Sometimes the only time you might be able to find in your day is at night. You do you. Okay, so back to helping you create joy in your lives, right? And what this looks like for you. You've picked the time in your day, whether you're thinking about your morning, your transition period after work to when you come home or maybe your sleep period. These are the three key times in our day. And for me, corporate Addie, that witching hour, which is also a transition hour, at 3:30 every day, my energy plummets and I want to go to the candy jar because we all know that energy comes in the form of a Milky Way. And there was this woman I worked with, God bless her, Brooke. She didn't even work in the office. She kept the candy jar stocked. So we didn't forget about her. I'm like, what is this shit? And it was the good stuff, you guys. It was the Milky Ways and the M&Ms. Well, right across from the candy jar, I found a meditation room. I was like, okay, you can have the piece of candy after you meditate. Most times after I meditate, I didn't want the candy. It was a miracle, right? It's like when you plan something like that, you end up not wanting it. But you notice what I was doing before I even knew I was doing it. I was regulating my nervous system. And this is the thing that I was telling you guys that just unlocked for me in coaching and helping is how do we move from that nervous system? Because even when you wake up in the morning, your brain wants to keep you in bed to keep you safe because stress is outside of bed. Like you go to work, you go to wherever you think you don't have stress, you have stress, right? So your brain, your little primitive brain in there, she's trying to keep you safe. This is a pattern. She sees this every day. You get up and you put her in this world that is full of stress. Let's stay in bed as long as we can. So, what if you do something like deep breaths, affirmations? Tapping is my favorite now because it connects the fight or flight brain to your smart brain, and then you can access your smart brain that thought it was a good idea to get up. And you're not going to think it's a good idea to get up in the morning unless you do something to connect those, or you're going to be white knuckling it. And you can make habits white knuckling. This is why my habits in the morning worked so easily. Do you guys see it? Do you see it? I made meditation my first habit. You know what was happening is I was already neutralizing all of that. I was in the middle of perimenopause, brain being ripped apart, and the first thing I did was got up and meditated. And then I could access my smart brain, then said, "Oh, okay, just 5 minutes, we'll put our tennis shoes on," because I was already out of fight or flight from my wake up. Because believe me, my state of waking up was complete fight or flight. My job was a lot. My mom was dying of cancer. My little kid is across the ocean. I've also learned that a lot of us can shove down the stress so far and it's not processed that we get disassociated from it. We don't even think we're in stress. Back to you and your routine, you guys. I swear we're getting to your little nugget for the day. I want you to think about that time of your day you're thinking of that you really want this habit that you haven't been able to create. How do you try to go about it? Have you made it sexy and appealing? Have you made a ritual of it? Can you add some crystals and cards and candles or coffee, tea, your favorite blanket? What can make it ooey gooey, cozy, magic space fun? And maybe you're tapping, like, what if I just get out of bed and I can go cuddle up with my blanket and get my journal? And my God, that's going to feel so great. But you're not going to wake up with those thoughts, right? Unless you train your brain to wake up with those thoughts. Because what are your thoughts? Your thoughts are, my God, let me just keep hiding under this blanket because it sucks out there. I don't want to get up. I'm too tired. I can't do the thing. I think there's a difference in knowing when to honor when your body really needs sleep and when it's just bullshit of your amygdala on red fire alert. And that's up to you to get to know yourself and trust yourself. And that's what we're doing is just building that trust. So what is one little way you could start to do that for yourself? And we're going to like uncover all of this at the workshop. And actually this week in Midlife Badassery, if you're in there and you guys are listening to this whole week is going to lead up to you finding ways to create joy in your life. Like what could even be a fun ritual you could set up for yourself? And what would that look like? As you're understanding your habit building brain. Like you have a cue, what is triggering the habit? Is it your alarm? Is it you had to go pee? Is it when you brush your teeth? Like what habit do you already have that you're going to tie this to? Like after I brush my teeth, I'm going to do 5 squats and then I get my coffee. It can be that simple. Habit stacking, James Clear 101. But what I'm saying is where is the joy in the creation of this new habit? Is it something you like to do anyway? And is that enough of a reward? How can you anchor it with this reward? Or can you create joy in the moment right where it is? And it's got to be powerful joy, you guys. All right. Like I remember I'd be lying in bed, I smell the coffee, instant joy. That's enough to get me out of bed. Right. And then it was like, okay, you can have your coffee after you sit and meditate. And that's where Slayer came in, my alter ego with the discipline, you know, which is the biggest form of self-love is showing up for ourselves, but also made it so ooey gooey that it became easy. So you're thinking about this time in your day. What does it look like? How are you feeling? Typically at that time of day, what do you want to do? Are you snoozing the alarm, going back to sleep? Are you super stressed out from work all day? Are you apathetic even? Where are you on the spectrum of feeling engaged in your day and feeling joy in your day? And then I want you to think, how could you easily move yourself from that stress into going to do the habit. Could be as simple as a deep breath, like pull in the driveway, deep breath. Maybe you even put on your alter ego. If you haven't created an alter ego yet, this is how we tap into parts of ourselves that we already have access to, these archetypes that we are all things. We are that superhero, right? But it also gives you that third party perspective. What would Slayer do? Well, Slayer would sit down and meditate. How do you put on that persona that helps transition herself? First, to kind of think about what this time period of your day, what you really want it to look like. And then I want you to expand that and think about what can make it just feel so fucking good. Right? Like, what does that look like? And a lot of times for me, it's making sure I don't get in my phone first, that I get up and I'll anchor my day with after you do this, then you can get in your phone. You get a dopamine hit from your phone. That is a totally fine reward. And it's so much sweeter when we plan the reward and we're doing it consciously. We're not getting hijacked by technology or coffee. Like, whatever that thing is for you, how can you just make it so luscious that you're going to get up and show up for it? And maybe stop fucking trying to do shit you don't really want to do. If you're trying to force yourself to go lift a bunch of power weights in the morning because you know you should lift weights, but you fucking hate it, maybe you got to shift that. Maybe that can be a habit you build, in 5 years when you're a badass habit builder. What if it's healthy enough? Right, and this is me talking to myself, to get outside and walk for 30 minutes. What if that is enough? I lost 120 pounds fucking walking. No shit, no shit. And I was a CrossFitter, all state athlete. Like, you guys, I'm an athlete, right? I didn't lose my weight being an athlete. I lost it walking. Like, letting it be easy, letting it be fun. And sure, the fitter I got, the more I added, and my body had like run up the mountain. And I was like, whoa, 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 we don't run. What the hell's going on here? And it was so humbling getting sick and going through the weight gain and not being able to move my body. And I think I needed to go through that to understand and have compassion for everybody that can't, because it's a different journey when you feel like you can hardly move your body. And I have been coming back from that. At first, when I got on the treadmill, you guys, it was like 5 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. I mean, the eczema flare ups, the inflammation in my body, it was so bad. It was all I could do to like roll out of bed, go to work. I would meditate, and I just wanted to stay in meditation. So I want to talk about that period during my regain and this creation of joy when I could hardly roll out of bed and get to work, is what it felt like, right? I was just so sick and I was trying everything. And that period of my life, I'm so grateful for, because I did get up and seek. And I'm still in the midst of a lot of that right now, of detoxing from heavy metals, of environmental things, of healing myself from the quantum. Like, I like to do that shit, right? You guys, like, what does it look like if I heal myself from energy, and doing it? So it was so hard. But the thing I kept doing, first of all, I'd show up, I'd make my plan every quarter because I'm leading it. That's the Me First Guide experience, like where we go through and we create this whole life. We set it up. We say, what are these small little actions can we take? And we keep showing up no matter what. And that's what I did that whole period. I showed up no matter what. I was gaining weight, but I was showing up. What does my dream life look like? What do I want? What are these things? You guys see how that's so fucking unrelated to what I was putting in my mouth? And what happened? I ended up moving toward creating this life I love again. And it's going to look different for you. You don't have to go quit your job and start a business, right? But what does it look like if you allow yourself to dream and expand to having more joy and love in your life? Every quarter, I would show up and do this and keep creating this vision and working on new techniques and trying tapping and detoxing and different types of meditation. And because I had already gone through that first period, knowing that the weight loss wasn't because of what I figured out to eat. It wasn't because I was counting macros right, or because I found fasting. I'd already, like, all of those things were bits and pieces of my health journey and what I fuel my body with, but it wasn't really what created the result of the weight loss. That was the shifting into how do I create joy? How am I building this life of my dreams? How do I get that butterfly inside me of excitement, even when I'm riddled with eczema and feel like I can hardly even move and scratching myself all night? How do you move in that place? And it was a constant showing up for that and missing my plans a lot of days, which had not happened. But I knew because I had gone through that whole period before, like, hey, just create the life of your dreams. Just keep like looking forward and keep seeking, keep trying things, keep looking and not judge yourself. Would have been really easy to just say, well, fuck it. See, it doesn't work. I'm a loser. I gained weight again. So a lot of you do, right? Like you gain weight and you make it mean you're a piece of shit. I gained weight and I said, okay, this isn't the right direction. What else? What else can I try? Where do I need to go? What does my dream even look like? It became so much less about this body and so much more about creating environments again that I could show up as my authentic self, really, is what it came down to for me. So it's going to be something different for you guys, but the pathway, I think, is so similar for all of us. As I created the Me First Guide, like this whole process, it was from me going through the process and all these other tools out there and like putting them all in one, like create the vision, get your goal, get your dream, take baby little steps. But how do you do that and stay in it? And it's through community, it's through having somewhere to show up where you do it when you're in that funk, when you're regaining weight, when you're feeling like you're seeping, oozing discomfort. Like, how do you keep showing up, daring to dream, daring to create joy in your life, joy in your every single day? But that's what we're working on this week and your habits and rituals. But for me, it was all part of the same story because even though I wasn't doing this whole thing during that period because I just felt too sick, I had my key pieces and I stayed curious and I stayed out of judgment of myself. And if there's one thing you get out of this work or these podcasts or whatever we end up being on the ride together with, is releasing that judgment of yourself. The awareness is your superpower. And how can you be the observer of your thoughts even more? See what's happening. But the bigger part of this is not beat yourself up, not talk like shit to yourself, not think you're a failure because you gained weight or you can't lose it or whatever. Like that's all what you're making it mean about you. And I want you to know you're beautiful, you're whole, just as you are, and you're never going to convince me otherwise.